perhaps you better not do that quite so much. This one has what is known as a scarifier on the back, and this was made for working on what are called waterbound roads. These are roads which are composed of rolled gravel rather than tarmac. Before tarmac was invented, if you wanted to replace the road surface, you'd use scarifier on the back to rip up the old road surface and replace it with a new one. Later on, of course, when tarmac came along, you'd end up with sparge pipes on the rollers to stop the tar from sticking to the rollers. But that wasn't necessary with an engine such as Bertha, because of the gravel doesn't stick to the rollers. Following along behind is a Marshall compound engine. Compound, well, 2 cylinders, big one and small one. Steam goes into the small one first, gets expanded a bit, and then goes into the larger cylinder and gets expanded some more. Why not do it all in one hit? Well, if you do that, as the steam expands, it cools down like any other gas, and you end up with a lot of the steam being wasted in reheating the cylinder on the next stroke. So the idea was to save a little bit on energy saving all the way back then. You'd always tell a machine that was meant for road haulage because it'll have a solid flywheel. Why was that? Well, it was because the flashing sun on the flywheel spokes might frighten the horses, and we can't have that, can we? And yet, following it is an agricultural engine with a flywheel with spokes on it. What was the main source of locomotion or transport in the farms at the time? Well, it was horses. Yeah, we have to have rules. They don't necessarily have to make any sense. This is number 2 in your programme. Clayton and Shuttleworth, built in 1918, owned by David Philpott of Luton. Built for the government to drive a mobile baling press to provide hay and straw for military horses engaged in World War I. So it's been around quite a long time. The rubber tyres on the wheels, of course, are a later addition, especially useful if you're running along the modern concrete roads, because if you're doing that with just the iron tyres, you get a very rough ride indeed, and it doesn't do the engine any good. So if you put some rubbers on the tyres, then it's a much more comfortable ride, and the engine goes slightly faster. Next one is Emma, number 22 in your programme. Again, big single, would have been used for farm work. Built in 1913 and by Terry Petty of Beckhampstead. It was used commercially for threshing work in Suffolk. And what you do, we've got a thrashing drum here somewhere, we probably have if I look around enough. It would have been used for driving the thrashing drum. Those of you who are Dad's Army aficionados, you would know that they did one episode where they were doing some thrashing with the thrashing drum and an engine similar to this one. Again, big single-cylinder machine, nice and simple. Following that, another one of the road rollers. Got a very fine whistle there on top of the cylinder block. Although, strangely enough, the one vehicle that wasn't required to have an audible warning of approach was a steamroller. Probably because when it's on the road, you can hear them coming for half a mile anyway. Steamrollers come in various sizes. One following, number 16 in your programme, is an Aveling and Porter. Aveling's actually built more steam engine than all the other manufacturers put together. Thomas Aveling was a very, very good designer and engineer. The paperwork, of course, got in the way of the engineering, so he got a chap in to do the paperwork, and his name was Arthur Porter. And so came the name of Aveling and Porter. As I say, they built more steam engines than all the other manufacturers put together. They built an awful lot of steamrollers. This is one of them. Belongs to the Ross family, and was made for doing the rather narrow roads around the Oxford city. Eventually got replaced with a diesel roller and was sent for scrap, but didn't get cut up, it got rescued. Another one of the engines coming along here, number 17. This, again, Aveling and Porter, L-type steam motor tractor, and this was built as a result of a change in the regulations, where the government suddenly decided that you didn't have to have 2 people on an engine all the time. If it weighed 5 tons or less, then one person was allowed to take it on the road on their own. There's one wonderful story about someone in the early days of steam You had to get permission from every town you went through from the council to travel down their high street. You had to have written permission. And one of these guys, driving his engine along, suddenly found he got a policeman walking beside him with a stopwatch. The next day he found himself in court for exceeding the 4.5 mile an hour speed limit by 1/8 of a mile an hour. You thought it was stupid nowadays. Number 15.